complicated, the customer don't understand, forget about it. You can't sell anything. It has to be simple and really interesting solution, and that's what customers want. And so that's the kind of the layout of the land. So what makes the characteristics of an entrepreneur? And I'm in the lecture mode now. So I'm going to give you some examples of this. Right? First of all, be curious. Curiosity is the mother of invention. We all know that, right? So curiosity is thinking about, hey, why is it happening? What's happening? I think so. Thinking about every possible opportunity is a good one. Second thing is be creative. Be creative. How many of you actually, when you drive home, you take the same road going home? Same road, same traffic lights, same turns. How many of you do that? Most of us do that, right? Have you ever tried like going to another route? Just for the heck of it? I have 7 ways to go from Downingtown to my school.
When there is too much traffic.
Exactly, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Trust me, because once you know one stop, I'm not waiting. I've got 4 other ways to go right from there, right? That makes it really fun. And I try that, and I think you should too. You don't have to do the same thing. What happens is every time the new exposure happens, you learn something new. Be passionate about anything you do. Passion is very important. There will be low time, high time, and I've seen many companies fold because of lack of passion. They start, don't go too far, they lose steam, so to say. They need the steam, you need the fire under you. Be proactive. My research shows innovation and proactive are 2 critical factors that drive entrepreneurship. You need to make that connection. You need to make that one phone call. You need to actually go and be there in the sun, in the rain, figuring out exactly how it works. Victory Brewery is right here, and yesterday I had the opportunity to talk to the owner who owns the business, and he told me when he was 21 years old, and he wanted to start a beer company, right? So where people make the best beer? Well, they make in Germany. Germany is one of the countries that they do it. 21 years old, they just left US, went to Germany, and about 18 months they learned how to actually brew beer. 21 years old. Go there and figure it out how it actually made. Come back and they start the company. Okay? Today it's a multi-million-dollar company, very successful, right? And they just formed a joint venture with a company out of New York. Very entrepreneurial guy, and someday you guys should have him as a speaker. He's an excellent speaker. So, proactive. Tolerance to risk and failures. You have the ability to kind of keep up with some uncertainties all the time. Nothing's sure. I think if you're very predictable, it doesn't work. You need to take that risk. Persistent, never give up. Flexible. You started with the idea, if some mentor tells you, don't go there, do this, you should be willing to bend and mend. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They find their way up. And so always be flexible, resourceful. Everything that you do is resourceful. Networking, financing, connections. Be resourceful. If you can't, find somebody who will do it for you. Bold and decisive. Made a decision, stick with it. Stick with it. Because I think even if it fails, stick with it. And that way it will give you some kind of guidelines of what you're doing and how you're doing. Think win-win, win-win. It's not a zero-sum game. Entrepreneurship is not a zero-sum game. I spoke to many of the entrepreneurs. So what they say is, you help your friends succeed. You help your friends and family, whoever you're working with, to succeed. If my friend is starting a company, help them. Not like, it's not a zero-sum game. If I win, you lose. That's not the way to look at it. I was talking to a professor, Dr. Tarun Khanna, he's at Harvard, and he talks about organizational culture. And what he said, what we talked about, he's been asked by the Indian government to change the culture of entrepreneurship in India. And we had a long conversation. At the end of it, there's lack of trust. And one of the conclusion was that we don't actually, and I'm talking about back in India, that there is this, there are subcultures, there are families that help each other, everybody succeed in the business. But in a larger picture, they're not helping each other as much as they could. Here there is a culture that they help each other out within that network. So if you have a network, help each other out. And I think win-win is very critical. Finally, your time is prime time. Make sure your time is protected and work with that. So I have this, actually I was talking to Ganesh earlier on. Time matters, okay? So this is a Dilbert cartoon. So I like your internet business idea, let's do it. That's what the manager says. Dilbert says right away, I sent you that idea a year ago. Since then, 5 companies have gone IPO in this space. And says, we can buy one of them. And Dilbert says, if if buy one, you mean 1 share or 1 stock of this company? Because it's too late to start a company, right? Just too late. So he gave an idea for 1 year. You got to act on it. You got to do something. So what do successful companies do? Now, 5 minutes? Okay, I'll keep up my time. So successful companies do, time and time again, is have some good mentor to start with. And I think that's the key. Ask for help. Don't hesitate. Don't try to do it yourself. I think that's a mindset that we think like, okay, we can handle everything. Not true. I go for help to everyone. Okay? As much as I do, I call up people, talk to them, ask them questions. And because I think it helps you to be successful. And they also know you're working on something. And they will call you back and say, hey, Dr. Tanya, remember that stuff you're working on? Why don't you touch base with this person? And that's how I make my connections. Secure invention. If you have an invention that can be protected by IP, make sure you get your patent and all that before you talk to people about it. Sometimes patents are very serious stuff. Have the right working group that will help you with that. If you don't have a patent and if you have a trademark, protect the trademark. Those are important things to do. Third, understand your customer and the market you're going to serve. If you don't understand what they need and why they need it, you will never be successful. The first question anybody who gives you money would ask is, how much do you understand your customer? What do they do? How they do it? Why do you think your product would be needed in this context? How big is the market in that context? So I teach a whole competitive analysis to my students, my graduate students in the MBA program, and we go through this exercise pretty regularly to kind of give them a feel for it. Also, understand how you're going to make money. What's your money-making opportunity? Is it going to be based on volume, based on price, based on subscription, based on what is your model of business? And why you think you can get the customer do that? What happened to Apple in the last few days? Stock tanked, right? I don't know how many of you own stocks. Stock tanked. They said they're not going to talk about number of cell phones they're going to sell anymore. Market was very upset. They said, like, we're going to go totally the service route. We're going to be selling more on the iTunes. They just are trying to get into the movie business. They're going to compete with Netflix. They want to start producing movies on the side. They want to become totally a service ecosystem through all their devices, providing services and competing in that space globally, which is a very interesting model to think about. Because subscription business is very successful for Amazon. If you look at Amazon's success story, their margins are very small, but they make a lot of money in their service side of things. AWS service has really exploded in the last year. And if you look at their money that they've made through third party who's selling through Amazon, they make a ton of money through that. So you can see their business model has evolved from product distribution to completely a service landscape. Understanding how that works and how you can succeed, you got to think about it. Going solo or partnership, interesting decision. I got to ask a partner who has been through this. I have seen many partnerships, extraordinarily successful partnerships, and I've seen miserable partnerships that things have failed. Why? Well, because people have opinions, and people have mindsets, and people have interests, and you have to be on the same page. And to partnership to succeed, up or down, you got to stay together. Make sure it works and make it work. Also, find out how you're going to incorporate the company. Should it be an S corporation, C corporation, you have B corporation these days. You want to set up as an LLC, you want to LLP. There are many different formats of creating companies, and knowing which one works for you is very important. Have a board of advisors who can help you through the process. A lot of science companies require board of advisors, because they help you through they prevent you from making early mistakes. They make sure that you don't commit that. Have an effective team. Once you create the company, have an effective team. Culture is very critical. I think Mano mentioned that. Culture is very critical. Companies succeed and fail because how much they believe in things and how they work together as a team. And that's very critical. And I found out, in pharmaceutical launches of drugs, I study them, and I find many drugs actually do not succeed in their launches purely because the team is not on the same page. That's the number one predictor of loss or failure of a product. The team is not on the same page. Knowing your financial options. Get money from friends and family first before you go to a venture capitalist. Venture capitalist will eat you alive. But there is a time that you got to start with the steps and processes you have to go before you get there. And so we can talk about that conversation. Have a plan. Keep it simple. Not 40 pages, 5 pages. Plan that actually means something and your investor actually understands what you're talking or trying to do. The investor loves simple plans, but effective plans, and make sure that you make the pitch that they will fund. I always say if you can talk about your business in 30 seconds, you have a better chance of getting the business or invention or funding. Finally, have a strategy in marketing. I live the world of marketing. Marketing actually makes real big important thing. It should not be an afterthought. It should be proactive thinking. And find the right people. Get the talent you want, because they make you look so good when all of the people who work for you are better than you. You look so good. And having that is important. And finally, execute. So I think I ran over my time. I want to keep that in. Thank you very much. That is this business structures that you can look at later on if you're really interested in. That's what we talked about today. Basically, we are different. Know who you are, know the characteristics, and finally, entrepreneurs succeed based on these characteristics that my research shows. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thani. So many valuable and key points for a successful entrepreneurship. I'm going to ask a question based on the talk when Dr. Thani, he introduced himself. He said he launched a product. Does anybody remember the name of the product? Yes. Come on. Yes. Yeah, that's right. We want to give a small. I thought I'd give it to Dr. Thani, so that's fine. Now I would like to invite Mr. Ram Nagappan, the president of ATEA, to felicitate Dr. Thani with a small memento.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Hema. Next is our much-awaited guest speaker and keynote speaker, Dr. Natarajan Ranganathan, Managing Director and Founder of Kibo Biotech. I'd like to invite Vijay Selvaraj, Mr. Vijay Selvaraj, to come up here and introduce him, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce a prominent scientist, Dr. Natarajan Ranganathan. So he's one of the key founder and a managing director of Kibo Biotech Inc., which is located in our own Newton Square, Pennsylvania. So before I talk a little bit more about his achievements, I would like to mention about his background. He obtained a dual degree in Masters. He specialized in organic chemistry and biochemistry in Pune, India, and he got his doctorate in bioorganic chemistry from the Temple University, Pennsylvania. And after his doctorate, he continued his academic training in University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and John Hopkins Medical Institute, Baltimore. Dr. Ranga, so he's fondly called as Dr. Rangan by his colleagues and mentees. So he was a member of the board of directors of the International Probiotic Association, and he's also a former member of Scientific Visitors Board of School of Science and Technology at Temple University, Philadelphia. So when I was looking up about Dr. Rangan, what caught my attention was this. So he has I was told that he has an extraordinary vision and a unique ability to identify solutions for critical problems related to containing the healthcare cost, which is one of the most wanted thing considering the current healthcare situation. So a little bit about Kibo Biotech Inc. So it's a 20-year-old biotech company specialized in the clinical utility of probiotics towards chronic kidney disease. So I'm not a medical professional, so I got to read a few things. So hopefully he'll explain it in a little bit. And under Dr. Rangan's scientific leadership, Kibo was awarded with like a lot of awards. So one of the significant one was he got 2 consecutive small business innovation research fast track grants, and he also got a lot of aids from United States government, international aids, etc. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Rangan on stage to delight us with his keynote.
A kind reminder to everybody, friends who are not fortunate enough to be present, we are lively streaming. So please text your friends to make sure they're able to enjoy and benefit from this program. The website, the Facebook thing is tamerica.tv, tamerica.tv or tamerica.tv, and they can search for ATEA PA Delaware Valley Meetup. So they'll be able to see it live. I'm sure all of you are enjoying it. So please spread the word so that other people can benefit out of it as the day progresses. Thank you.
Namaskaram, Vanakkam. அதுக்கு மேல தமிழ் பேச முடியாது. Friends, my fellow speakers, I truly thank the organization for inviting me to share my experience. Well, I always say entrepreneurship is not a goal or a destination. It's a journey. Okay? So, you think of something, you start something, but every step of the way you learn. Okay? I don't want to go about my first or second venture, which is the third venture, I'm just telling you. So I started late, so I'm a geriatric entrepreneur, they call. But, our idea is, basically, we call the story, we are using pro and prebiotics. You know about pro and prebiotics, I should say now. About 7 years ago, nobody knew about probiotics, I should say. It was Dannon who came, spent about $100 million, and their sales hit $1 billion. From that time onwards, probiotics absolutely exploded everywhere. You never thought about 10 years ago, wherever you go for a restaurant anywhere, in the morning you'll have breakfast or yogurt, as you said. So this area is the area which we started, we didn't know about probiotics, we only know about bacteria, and bacteria was thought to be a sort of a sinister word. Then we used to call us microbes, then we just thought, even that they didn't understand, then we used to call us beneficial microbes, I should say. Okay. So now everybody is calling probiotics, so we are going to be using pro and prebiotics. And basically when we started the company, we didn't just start as a probiotic company, we started as a drug company. Our idea was, when the kidney fails, there is an increase of toxins, the toxins diffuse in the blood. So can we use a bacteria, genetically clone it with urease, uric acid, creatinase G, and orally take it? So we did not start as a probiotic company. We started as a drug company. And I'll tell you why we changed. As just to give you sort of an idea, a disclosures, you know that, usually. Of all the things, I'm delighted to present the last one, which I say, roots from India, but fruits from USA. I'm always grateful to USA for two reasons. One is, I came here as a student, and one of my lady whom I came here 48 years ago, at the same time, my wife came, that time she was I didn't know that. We met, after a year, I proposed, we got married, and we have been still married as husband and wife. Not only we are husband and wife, we are both together in the business also. Married, husband and wife. And the reason why I just totally forgot speaking Tamil is, you know, I am from India, Chennai, I'm sorry, and my mother is from Madurai, father is from Trichy, and you know, I studied in Chennai and went to Pune. My father was central government servant, we used to go place to place. So I never had much chance of interacting different language in same language. My dear wife, I'm from a poor Brahmin family back home in India, large family. I don't want to even tell you how many members. My dear wife, she is from a very distinguished, a very well-to-do, rich family, and she is from Kerala. Her mother tongue is Tamil, Malayalam. Mine is Tamil. Back home, during those days, even if we were staying next to each other, they would have permitted to meet and get married, as you said. Okay. So I always say I was to travel all the way from India, come here and meet this wonderful lady, I should say, and get married. So I'm always. Second, this is the only country where if you can have certain ability to convince, you would be able to get funding. I could single-handedly get about $3.25 million, I should say, in the form of small business innovations, fast-track phase 1, phase 2 grants. I also got $1 million of money to be spent in India, but I forced them, I don't want to divide my research, so I brought the American dollars went to India back to USA, I should say, and even we got a $250,000 from Qualified Therapeutic Drug Act. So basically, you can do that. I don't think you will be able to do this single-handedly. So with that, I just want to tell you, we started the company. When we started the company, we have 3 people, I should say. Myself, my colleague Jack Dickstein, as well as John Cardella. And we ran the company for about 6 years. And after the grants were exhausted, I was trying to pull in more and more money in the form of debt. So at one point, we were almost absolutely, penniless, let me put it. And my colleagues decided it's time to close the company, I should say. So we were almost in the month of December, we were in the legal office at downtown Morgan Lewis Baucus. They said, let's close the company and call it quits. I begged them, please don't close it, give it to me. I will take it forward, and God willing, now I will be able to return a determined price for the company. And now I bought all their shares back, and the company is actually owned by me. And the $3 you see here, in those days when we started, that is, we used to get surveyed. Now, like your survey monkey, we don't have a survey. Those days you used to get in the snail mail a brochure or whatever it is to give a survey, and they will enclose $1 or $2, I should say. These are the $3, our first earnings that we got, and one of my employees actually for my birthday put them together and just gave it to me. So I always say this is what we do. So basically what we do, we started the company with 300 square feet. We moved to about 1,200 square feet. Then we moved in about Newtown Square, between 5,000. Now we are about 7,500 square feet. Tani came and as well as a couple of your colleagues came and saw. Please, we are a growing company. We still have to grow. We have to go further. So basically, what we do, we we develop healthcare supplement with pharma-like validation. You will not come across any company because we started as a drug company, So we have done a pharma-like validation for all our product. Our target market is primarily kidney failure. Now we have developed a product for gout as well as arthritis. We also have in the pipeline a product to boost the immunity and recovery of colorectal cancer. And we also take a look at high protein products for dialysis patients. And as Tani said, you go on expanding your idea. We know that we can remove paracrisol, I should say, using your product. Recently, we just came across C deficient patients have a large amount of paracrisol, I should say. So I'm thinking further. Can we just see whether we can use a natural product to actually combat the C difficile infection, hospital infection? So we have a big picture, I should say, as far as our thoughts are concerned. And customers are condition specific, whatever conditions they have, what we have just described. We have 34 patents, and we have a huge patent portfolio with us. And we have 11 full-time, 3 part-time employees. We are subchapter S corporations. We are financially profitable company, and we are the pioneers in the area of modulation of the gut microbiome. And of course, needless to say, we have got a board of directors, certificate advisory board, service providers, everybody whom we are just looking for. So just to give you some sort of an idea, this was the time when we started, 1997, our idea is, can we use the ball to substitute the kidney function? Because we know when the kidney fails, the circulating blood diffuses the blood into the ball. So as I told you, can we use a genetically engineered bacteria? So this was in Edinburgh, Scotland, and we were 4 people, Dr. Carl Strand at the extreme right, then Dr. Tuts, he is from Karolinska Institute in Switzerland, in Sweden, and Dr. Tetsumo Sanaka from Japan, as well as on this side you see Dr. Eli Friedman. Very distinguished nephrologist. Just to give you, Eli Friedman is the one who actually did the surgery for our late Prime Minister, who is this N.G. Ramachandran. Okay, that's how we just came and we just attracted him. So we basically started with this concept with can the ball substitute the kidney function. Now you see all these are about 2,000 to 3,000 reactions occurring in your body. And every scientist you go, they will be talking about the individual reactions for all the things. As a small business company, we are not interested in the exact science mechanism or not. We are always looking for the outcome of anything, as you say. So we are actually targeting about what we call as kidneys. And just to give you, I'm going to just slowly open you to something new. If you take your whole body, we started what is called as Human Genome Project in 1996. It took about 10 years, I should say, by Jeffrey Gordon and co-workers to find out, spending about $3 billion, your whole body has got 10 trillion cells. It has got 10 trillion cells, and the number of genes that is present is about 23,000 genes. Okay? And it so happened, they were looking, all this, but they forgot about the most important organ, because bowel was not even recognized as an organ until 2004. We know about liver, we know about kidney, brain, spleen, etc., but nobody cared about bowel. Bowel was recognized as an organ only in 2004. But we thought about that right long time ago when we started. Can we use the bowel to substitute the failing kidney function? So if you take that bowel and find out that about 3 to 4 parts of the bowel, you may be amazed to see it has got 100 trillion cells. Okay? It has got 3.3 million genes. You have to ask, who is hosting whom? The bowel is hosting you. Now we know the field of gut microbiome is the hottest field. Tani would suspect me. The hottest field is the gut microbiome, modulation of the gut microbiome, I should say. Yeah, and so, if you take all 10 diseases, we talk, he died of cancer, he died of cardiovascular problem, he died of heart attack, he died of this thing. The bottommost is next to suicide is the kidney. But do you know, this is the most expensive disease? The US government spends about $34 billion. $34 billion. You don't get paid by the US government for any other disease. When you are on dialysis, the insurance company drops you because the government covers you. And they spend another $64 billion on taking care of those to delay the need for dialysis. So it's almost $100 billion. If you take the kidney disease, you may be surprised, we spend 1% of our total GDP on kidney disease as opposed to 2% for the entire education of USD. So far, nobody bothered about the kidney disease. It was under the ground. Now, all of a sudden, with all the awareness of saving the healthcare dollars, as you said, it is just come up. And basically, if you take your body, we distinctly know almost all diseases, allergy, autism, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, every disease is associated with what is called as dysbiosis. When you say dysbiosis, it's the imbalance of the gut microbiome. You have some good bacteria, you have got some bad bacteria, and when the good bacteria is more, you're okay. When you have any disease, then this is disturbed, so you come across the pathogenic bacteria causing all these sorts of diseases. So we know every disease is associated, and gut microbiome is one of the hottest things that is there. And I told you this is already there. If you take this kidney disease into 5 stages, let me tell you, 3 and 4 is called as pre-dialysis, and we are trying to address on pre-dialysis patients, because we are not trying to address dialysis patients, because here we will do that. Our idea is to do that in later, because first our market is bigger market is in stopping or delaying the need for dialysis with our product, which is a natural product. And if you take, there are called as hemo and peritoneal dialysis. If you compare hemo and peritoneal dialysis with ours, which we call as enteric dialysis, because we are trying to remove the uremic toxin using the bulb, you know, if you take, that is, you need a surgical procedure, invasive, it is chance of infection, dietary restrictions, all there in the hemo and peritoneal dialysis. Whereas in the case of enteric dialysis, it is very safe, well, you know, documented now as we are just going along, and I don't want to go through this. If you go through our website, you will know we have done more than drug evaluation. We have done extensive lab studies. We have done extensive studies using a machine that mimics our digestive system called as simulated human intestinal microbial ecosystem machines. We have done studies with nephrectomy rats, nephrectomy pigs. We have done studies with the live cats, live dogs. We have done even with the retired zoo animals, which is in Tennessee with our product issues. I don't think even any pharmaceutical product would have done as much of validation we have done. And then, of course, we have done small pilot scale studies on CKD3 as well as a dialysis patients. All our work has been published, and normally, of course, with all respect, you know that normally a commentary is always asked from distinguished professors like Tani for any magazine editorial commentary. Recently, we published our commentary requested by me in the Journal of Nephrology and Therapeutics. If you go to Journal of Nephrology and Therapeutics, put my name, you will see just recently we have put a commentary on enteric dialysis. So I really feel good about what we are just doing, and ultimately it is not the clinical trials and all that is going to determine the customers. So we have done a survey every 2 years. You can see 13, 15 and 17. You can see, I always say, it doesn't matter what disease you have or what product you take. What is important? Are you feeling better? Are you eating better? Are you more productive? Or more cognitive? Less stress on yourself or family or caregivers? That's what is important. You can see 88% of the customers who in the last survey have reported improved quality of life. So basically, we feel very good. The US FDA as a primary endpoint for a drug, if you can show that you can arrest the decline of kidney function by a 30% primary endpoint, is 40% is preferred. With all humility, I'm telling you, we cannot do this clinical trials. We took a customer survey, whosoever it is, From the customer survey we publish, we are not only able to arrest the decline in kidney function, we are able to stabilize it, even increase the kidney function, which is unheard of, I should say. So we really feel we have a product, it's a gold mine, I should say, but still nephrologists don't accept it because they all want a drug. The dietary supplement is not what they want a drug, I should say. Well, our product has 3 different specific strains. They are very highly specific. That is, I don't want to go through this. There are about 1,000 different strains, the strains that we have, and each and every one of them is meant to remove certain uremic toxins. As a matter of fact, they remove some of the uremic toxins which is not even removed by dialysis. So the product is called as Renadel, and we do have Renadel, and it is my luck. God given. I've been surrounded by some great people, I tell you. We never thought our product will be useful for veterinary applications, I should say. When we were looking for money, it was Brenda Gavin from Cake Ventures. She didn't do money, but she gave an idea. There were times we used to go and knock everybody's door, they will close it because you are a dietary supplement company. You will be, I'm amazed. 8 times I've gone to Japan and talked to people and all things. Day before yesterday, a Japanese company came to our door to talk about the collaboration issues. So we really feel we have this product for cats and dogs with moderate to severe kidney failure. The beauty is we have licensed this to a veterinary company called Svetacanol, and 80% of our income comes from selling the product for veterinary applications. Only 20% for human. We want to reverse that. That's what we are trying to do with what we are just trying to do. And well, this is a picture that I took with Willem Jonathan Kolff. He is the inventor of dialysis, and this was taken about in our 10th anniversary. A long story short, he was the one who really gave me the source of inspiration, I should say. When he said that he's going to invent dialysis machine at the Cleveland Clinic, his colleagues said you can take the blood out and pass it through a machine and bring it back. They called him crazy, lunatic, sent him back to Netherlands, I should say. He told me, Dr. Rangan, as long as you have strong belief, trust and faith that you have got a concept that you want to get through, go ahead. Don't worry about the sounds other people are making. At least in your case, you won't have any the problem. In my case, the first 25 patients died. The 26 patients survived for about 1 month. Now you come across tabletop dialysis machines, I should say. So that's what gave me. So I'm always surrounded with great people. You will not believe all the people that is there. And last, just to run through this. When we want to do our clinical trials, normally when we do clinical trials, there is a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is you give the product to healthy people, document that they don't have any health problems or any adverse effects with that. Phase 2 is you give the product to the people who are affected with the disease. Phase 3 is whatever you have done in phase 2, you duplicate it in different places, I should say. When we wanted to do our clinical trials, I told Dr. Eli Friedman, we want to do clinical trials. He asked me, do you have the phase 1? I said, I don't have the money even to run the regular operation. I don't have money to run the phase 1. And that time we had only veterinary product, I should say. We did not have the human product, I should say. Then he asked me, well, I told him, is the veterinary human product the same? I said, yes. Then he said, can you take the product? I said, yes, I can take the product. How about your wife? Sure, I will ask her. How about your employees? I got only 7 employees, including me. He said, doesn't matter, I want some proof. So what we did was, we engaged Dr. Nicholas Keflaitis at the University of Pennsylvania, professor of medicine. We drafted a legal agreement from Morgan Lewis Baucus that all of us were taking the product on our own, without any compulsion or coercion. So every month we visited Dr. Nicholas Keflaitis, we had our physical, medical, we gave blood, urine, feces, everything was sent. For about 5 months, absolutely everybody was okay. And we published this first poster abstract in the International Society of World Congress of Nephrology that was held in Singapore. But Dr. Friedman has got a fantastic foresight. He said, Rangan, you're making history. Make sure you take the picture before you just go to the store. So that's the picture that we just have. And well, now we are learning more and more. urea was considered as a sort of a normal, non-toxic substance. Now we are learning that urea has come back as the kit of the century. Even urea, higher levels of urea is implicated in diabetes issue now. So our product has the highest ability to remove urea. So we certainly feel that we are in a position to remove urea, uric acid, creatinine. These are all called as the earlier molecules. The middle molecules are this, what we see as methylamine, dimethylamine, cosylamines, indoles, phenols, chrysols. People don't die of kidney disease. They die of cardiovascular disease. They are all cardiovascular toxin, I should say. And the future is the modulation of the gut microbiome. So what we are looking for is modulation of the gut microbiome. And we, just to tell you, incidentally, I just named the company Kibo. So I was in a downtown Japanese American Chamber of Commerce in about 2002 or 3. Next to me was Japanese chairman of the Isai Pharmaceuticals. He asked me, get my name. Oh, Dr. Rangan, what are you doing? I said, we are trying to develop a product to remove uremic toxin using the valve orally. He said, why are you wasting your time? We already have a product in Japan called as cremazine, I should say. But yes, I said, cremazine only binds creatinine and urea, creatinine and uric acid, not urea. It doesn't touch urea at all. But charcoal also binds some of the drugs. Most of the patients take some drugs. It also binds some of the drugs. We want to develop a product which is better than cremazine. He said, do you think you really can do it? I said, that is our goal. That is our ambition, I said. And then he said, well, if you do that, you will have no problem. By the way, how did you come to name the company Kibo? We named the company Kibo because we are trying to substitute the failing kidney function by the valve. Kidney and bowel put together, Kibo. Incidentally, in Japanese, Kibo means hope. So I always say, we not only want to give hope to Japanese kidney failure population of patients, we want to give hope to the entire world population of patients who are having kidney disease. We dedicate this to all the people who have been working with us. And as I told you, this is now the path to truly new, never been done before. Things always as failure along the way. It is supposed to be. So we have come a long way, and I'm delighted I could share my story with you. And if you want my personal story, you have to ask me some other time, I should say.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative and very eye-opening. So I'd like to invite now Mr. Badri Ramki to come up to present a memento to Dr. Ranganathan.
Thank you, sir. It was awesome and great inspiration. But I just want to know, I really qualified to even honor it.
No.
That's one of your blessings, and thanks a lot. You can just go, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Just closing remarks. I am a follower of Swami Dayananda Saraswati. We have such a tough time to raise money. So whenever I go to meet him, he will ask, Ranganatha, this is every again. I will tell him, Swamiji, Ramba customer again. I'm trying to raise money. I'm having a tough time. You know what he is tell me? He is the best CEO I have ever known. Ranganatha, yeah, what a customer. Nalla velage vandu company vithurume.
Exit strategy.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick question. Can anyone name the name of the probiotic products that Kibo Biotech sells? Human and veterinary? Renadil and veterinary? as it is. So who said it first? Here you go. Congratulations. So now we break for coffee. We request all of you to take coffee and come back to the seats. We are going to run out of time. So 5-minute break, maybe?
Hello friends, GS, please come. Thank you so much for this opportunity, for coming and speaking here. This today for ATEA, they did the. Alright, come on up. For the first time in ATEA East, this chapter, we kicked off with the canned food drive. This is a wonderful way to start the holiday season by giving. So thank you so much. We have actually 4 boxes, large containers of canned food. Now these canned food are going to go to homeless and less fortunate people in the state of Delaware, not just one place. It's going to go across to various people. We'll make sure that we get some photos and share that with you all so you can enjoy the happiness that you see from other people. So thank you. I do want to show you a small 39 seconds video. Please take a look at it. And if you like the story that you see, please, there is a link that I posted in the ATEA WhatsApp group. Go to that link and vote. If my story, if it becomes the #1, I may be eligible, or my story may be eligible to get a $10,000 grant. So that's what we are working toward. One of our dream, Tani was talking a lot about the entrepreneurship. One of our dream is to have a building in Wilmington for giving back to the community. So I'm working toward this project that I'm talking about is working toward collecting and raising money. And think about it, our community having a building in Wilmington to give back to the community. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Ganesh Radhakrishnan, CEO of Warfordale Technologies Incorporation, to be introduced by Mr. Sankar Ramalingam, tech-led Lexus Nexus. Just wanted to say a few words about Mr. Ganesh Radhakrishnan. I have met him a couple of years back in a fundraising event. He's such a down-to-earth person. He's so approachable, one of the key characteristics of an entrepreneur. So I would like to invite Mr. Ganesh and Mr. Sankar.
Thank you, Hema. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are regenerated yourself. We're having a small break. We'll continue with our next session. We're going to have next session by Ganesh Radhakrishnan. He is the CEO and founder of Warfordale Technologies. Just a quick background, education. He has double masters from IIT Chennai, one in computer science and the other in mathematics. He's a gold medalist in mathematics. Like Dani Jambalingam said, holding a patent is very valuable. He does hold a valuable patent, a couple of patents. I did ask him about the patent and he explained to me. I wish to explain here, but with lack of time, I'm going to skip that, and feel free to touch base with him. He has 2 patents and he can explain them. They're very valuable. I mean, it's something that we have long back looked for, something that can be solved. He serves as a board of director in 3 multinational companies and an IT advisor for World Bank, Johnson & Johnson, Canadian Pacific, and Rolls-Royce. He worked as VP for Hewlett Packard in Geneva, VP SAP in Germany, IT advisor for Kuwait government, partner with Deloitte Consulting, and global vice president at EMC Dell. You can add more. He's a venture capitalist looking for acquiring more IT companies and also to fund IT firms. Just to add, he also runs Warfordale Foundation, which helps educate kids who lost their parents in war. Very noble cause. And he is very down-to-earth person. He was here early and offered help to set it up. I mean, such a humble person, and we are so glad to have him here. Please, Ganesh Radhakrishnan, welcome you for our next topic on why startup fails.